Most of the answers you're looking for in life you probably already know. Oftentimes we ask people for general advice because we want reassurance for the decisions we make. But the reality is you already know the answer, you know what to do. When I was traveling by myself last year, I was really just looking for stories and experiences I could take with me forever. And one of those experiences actually was when I was in Hong Kong. I had about 3 to 4 hours before a date, so I ended up getting a taxi and going to a random city nearby. And not really having a plan, I just ended up walking around until I stumbled upon a basketball court with a 60-year-old man just playing with himself. Pause. Major pause. But realizing that I hadn't touched a basketball in a long time and my trip was winding down, I asked if I could shoot around with him. And we actually ended up having a very deep, profound conversation. He was telling me about how he spends his days in retirement, just coming to the basketball court, shooting around, and hoping that there are other people there. And how there was hardly anything to do around as he's gotten older. And I could tell right away that he spent a lot of time alone just because of how excited he was. You know, to have someone to talk to, let alone an Asian American from California that can speak his language and have a full conversation. We talked about just about everything from NBA to life to work to girls to relationships to politics to marriage. He told me about how he had been married for 37 years and that he had a son my age. And I was telling him about how I wanted to have 5 kids, but also how I was going to stay single forever. He went from asking who I was going to vote for to my favorite NBA player to the types of girls that I'm interested in. And the part of the conversation that stuck out the most to me was when he was giving me advice. He gave a lot of advice and rambled on a lot. But all the advice, everything he told me pretty much summed up to this one phrase that he told me that I couldn't get out of my mind since. But he told me to always do what's difficult. Now on the surface level, right, it sounds like basic advice, but also the effect of the message also varies depending on who it comes from. I didn't know if I was taking that phrase to heart because I was romanticizing this experience while I was traveling by myself, like I was making way more out of the experience more than it actually was. Or because through our conversation, I realized that he was someone I could take wisdom from. Because there's a lot of old people that are kind of dumb. If you work retail before, you know what I'm talking about. But I haven't gotten that out of my head since. To always do what's difficult. And oddly enough, this is something I always think about before I go box, before I go spar. And it's funny because at the beginning, boxing was fun because I was completely oblivious. You know, when you're kind of taking classes and sparring people your level, sparring beginners, people that you know you have more natural ability than, it's kind of fun. You're excited to spar and boxing is pure fun. You don't understand all the negatives because you haven't experienced it. However, this slowly starts to change when you start getting beat up. You start having your blood drawn, you start getting injured, you start getting headaches later that night. You know, the back of your head is pounding because of how much your brain has been rattled that day. It's extremely tiring. It's like the 5th or 6th round. It's like the longest 3 minutes of your life. You're trying to take every second to catch your breath. And it's funny how things have changed because sometimes I'll be on my way to the boxing gym and I don't really want to go. Especially after I got my ass beat the last session. You know, there's this one kid with an amateur record of like 50 plus fights that beats the crap out of me. There's a part of me that's like, I really hope he's not there. But also a part of me that's like, I want my get back. But I'll be driving to the boxing gym, right? And I'll think to myself like, why am I even going? I'm paying a membership, not like it's cheap either, taking hours out of my day. I'm not a professional fighter or amateur fighter or anything like that. I'm essentially spending money to get my ass whooped. I'm essentially paying to get my ass kicked. It was fun in the beginning, and now I actually got something to think about, some nerves. But I'll always end up just thinking about what that old man told me that I met in Hong Kong. What he said to me. Every single time, and that's always to do what's difficult. And then I'm like, fine, I'll go. Why do you have to tell me that? Now I can't get it out of my head. You know, sometimes we complicate life because in those complications, we're able to give excuses or relief to validate our inadequacies. When you do what you're supposed to, when you do what's difficult time and time again, you know, slowly but surely, every aspect of your life starts falling into place like pieces of a puzzle. And this is often characterized by what we call momentum. For example, you start working more hours, you start making more money, you start elevating your status, you feel more productive. Then naturally, you start wanting to work out, you start getting in shape, which then translates to you being more confident, walking with your head held a bit higher, gaining more respect when you walk in a room. So then naturally your social life gets better. You start meeting more people, you start talking to more girls. Everything in your life starts naturally elevating. Or in my case, right, I'm not just paying to get my ass kicked, even though that's what it felt like for a good amount of time. What I'm actually doing is I'm sharpening my mind and body. I'm testing my mental strength. I'm testing my endurance when I get my ass kicked. I'm proving to myself, if nothing else, that I have heart. I'm refining a skill and I'm improving on that skill. And through improving this skill, I'm gaining confidence, which translates to my energy. My conversation skills, my self-belief, you gain a bit of respect. One thing stacks on top of another and momentum builds. Life just starts naturally falling into place. And again, this is characterized by doing what's difficult time and time again. Working more is difficult, elevating your status is difficult, making more money is difficult. Like, money is extremely hard to gain when you don't have any, but when you start making it, right, it seems to exponentially increase. Working out is difficult, but when you start, it gets easier and you get into a flow state. And you get to a point where not working out feels wrong. It feels like it's part of your day, your lifestyle, and that's momentum. But you gotta keep in mind the opposite is also true. When you only do what's easy over and over again, this results in an existence that you're most likely discontent with. The answers you're looking for in life is really just reassurance. You already know what to do. As a matter of fact, you know exactly what to do. Do what's difficult time and time again, and slowly but surely the answers you're looking for will unravel itself. And listen to your gut feeling, because 9 times out of 10, it's right. Listen to your heart and believe in yourself. All the questions you have will work itself out. Experience is the best teacher, and you're going to pivot along the way. The most important thing is that you just keep going in that direction. Keep doing what's difficult, and eventually everything starts falling into place.